Yo, what's going on, everybody? Today I want to talk about a game for the PlayStation 4 called Indivisible. Actually, the funny part about this game is I had no idea that it actually existed until one day I was bored, didn't have much to play, decided to just stroll through the PlayStation store, and for a rare occasion, it actually worked pretty smoothly. Most time, I can't get through the PlayStation Store without having to open and close it a few times. It's just always buggy for me. Even with the PlayStation 4 Pro, it's still buggy. Not sure why. But anyway, I did come across this game. Looked at a couple screenshots, also looked at the video preview they have for it. And I first was drawn into the art style. It has that hand-drawn art style look to it, and then a lot of the cutscenes still played on the hand-drawn aspect, but it also had a real anime-ish feel to it. So from both of those aspects, I was like, okay, this game looks really good, and it was going for about 30 bucks at the time. So I was like, all right, I can actually give this a try. Now, instead of downloading a digital copy, I actually wanted to go ahead and get the physical version of this game. So I had to go down to GameStop and pick it up because I couldn't find it in really any other stores around me besides a GameStop. So I went down there, picked it up, and needless to say, I'm happy that I got it. It's a really great game. I have a couple gripes with it, but all in all, it's a great game, and I recommend anyone who is looking for a Metroidvania style game to go ahead and get that one, because if you like a Metroid, if you like Castlevania, obviously that's why it's called Metroidvania, you will like this game. Now, this game melds a lot of different games or game genres, I guess is a good way to look at it, into one. Like, it has an RPG element to it to where you're leveling up your characters. You also have like that Metroid Castlevania element to where there's a lot of backtracking in this game, and you acquire various different power-ups throughout the play, and you'll see areas that you can't get into, and you can look at it and see that, okay, there's some type of ability needed to get past this point that I currently don't have. And then that's when you, of course, keep progressing through the game until you get that ability, and then you have the option to backtrack to that area, use the ability, and get whatever it is hidden behind that obstacle. Speaking of the backtracking, there is zero fast travel in this game, and that was the one gripe I had with the game. It's rough having to go all the way back through a level. These levels are quite long, so it's a lot of times that I decided not to go back just because it literally was just too much backtracking. And then not only do you have to backtrack, you have to come all the way back to where you came from in order to leave that world or that level, whatever you want to call it. Because there is not really an open world to this game. It's more along the lines of a Final Fantasy 13, where you kind of load into individual worlds, and then those worlds are pretty linear. They have some branching paths, but you know, there's only certain ways you can go. It's not just an open sandbox. The battle system for this game is really where I feel like a lot of the melding happens from different games, especially from RPGs. Now, if you are familiar with Mario RPG, then, or any of the Mario and Luigi, maybe Paper Mario, any of those games that have the timed attacks, this game adopts that as well. You have the timed attacks to where if you, I guess, time it right, you can add in an extra attack depending on what character it is. And you also use those timed attacks in order to block depending on what character it is when you get attacked. And of course, if you block at the right time, if it's perfect timing, then you actually don't take any damage at all. And as you level up your characters and increase their defensive or offensive abilities, you can actually regain health by perfect blocking. When it comes to the layout for how your characters are on the battlefield, look no further than the square, triangle, circle, and X on your controller. Each one of these buttons control its respective character on the screen, and they're placed in the same diamond formation that the buttons are on your controller. So you always know who is triangle, who's square, who's circle, who's X. Now you have to hit that individual button in order to perfect block with that character, or hit the individual buttons if you're being group attacked. So if they're hitting, the guy at the top and the guy at the bottom, then you're going to need to hit triangle and X at the same time and time them both perfectly when they're being attacked in order to pull off the perfect blocks. Now that does take a little getting used to. It's one of the first games I've ever played that had that type of battle system in it. But once you do start to master it and you start to get that imprint in your brain to where you know exactly what to hit at the right time, it does allow you to overpower the game some, and it does take away a lot of the difficulty. That could be a gripe for people out there who maybe want a little more difficult game, or a little more of a grind on their hands, or maybe just a little more intense battles. It didn't take away much for me. I actually took it as me actually improving, and that was the benefits of improving. So to each his own on that. That's why I didn't count that as a negative. Now also you have a charge bar for special attacks that you can use with each character. That's a bar up on the top left, and honestly that felt like it pulled from like Xenoblade Chronicles to me, with the party. It's like a party link bar on that game. If you've played it, you know what I'm referring to. So I definitely like the inclusion of that. And you can also use that to revive players. Again, if you've played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you know what I'm referring to. Also, your attacks have the cooldown of active cooldown where you have to wait, in order to attack, which has like that Final Fantasy VII feel to me, to where it's not like Final Fantasy X where you know exactly where you're going to attack. It's not that timed attack approach, but it's more of like an action timed attack. I guess I forgot I think it's called action timed attack. I'm not sure, but you have to wait for the cooldowns and then you can attack. The only issue there is obviously you can't see the boss's cooldown, so you never know if the game is jipping you or not. I've always kind of hated that battle system just only for that fact, but it doesn't get too crazy in this game. So again, that's why I didn't hold it against it. When you attack, you hit the button corresponding to the character you want to attack with. And if you hold up, then they kind of launch them into the air, or they can attack characters that's in the air already. Obviously, if you hold down, it's more of a low attack. And if you just hit the button itself, then it's kind of a straight on normal attack. You'll see that gets implemented in, especially when enemies start to employ guards against you. In order to break the guard, you have to either start with an up attack and then follow immediately with a down attack, or vice versa, in order to break their guard and go ahead and do regular damage to them. If not, you're not going to do any damage. There's tons of abilities and power-ups that you'll get throughout this game. You don't have to worry about missing any because they're all laid out along the path of just natural progression through the story, which is a good thing. There's nothing hidden behind, some hidden ability. Again, to each his own. Some people like that type of thing. I'm not a big fan of it. So that was great. Like I said, there was things I didn't go back and get just because the back travel was just too long. It was too much, and I just didn't feel like going through all that. A lot of times you're just getting a crystal anyway. Speaking of the crystals, there's crystals scattered throughout all of the various worlds or levels, and when you get those crystals, you can use them inside of your inner mind, which is where Ajna holds all of the individuals you meet. It's like her own reality, so to speak. And there's 2 individuals in there that you'll run across later in game that allows you to either A, beef up your attack, or B, beef up your defense. And you use these crystals scattered throughout the game in order to increase attack or defense with these characters. Now, when you use them, of course, it's like currency. It burns them. So, but not to fret or not to worry. You don't have to feel like, do I have to pick attack over defense? There's more than enough of these crystals scattered throughout the game in order to max out both sides. So you don't have to get 100% of the crystals in order to 100% max out Ajna. Speaking of that, I only played the game through one time, and I was actually able to 100% her attack and defense in that one playthrough with very little back travel. You do some just because there are times in the game where you're trying to figure out how to advance the storyline or how to advance the game itself, because you're kind of stuck at that point. So you'll find yourself running around trying to figure out where haven't I been, and hope someone kind of gives you that boost or that platform that says, hey, go here, and then it opens up that part of the game for you. Now, when it comes to beating the game time-wise, one playthrough with, I did backtrack, not all that I should have or all that you could have, but like I said, I did do some backtracking, and I would say I completed this game in around 14 to 16 hours. My save file actually has a crazy number attached to it, only because there's a lot of times I'll play a game and I'll just get up and walk away and I'll leave the game on. Everyone in Almost in Full Color knows that I'm habitually leaving my PlayStation 4 on all the time. So I'll just leave the game running, get up, leave, go to work, come back like 8-10 hours later, game's still sitting there on. So that adds to my counter on the game. So it'll look like, I think my game counter is like 60 hours or something. I did nowhere near 60 hours in this game. I hope y'all enjoyed the review for this one. I didn't go in depth into the story because, like I said, I didn't want to spoil this for anyone. But it is a great game, great battle system, beautiful graphics, especially if you love the hand-drawn aspect and the anime style cutscenes. Go pick this one up. You don't have to do physical like I did. Go on PlayStation Store, download it, get it however you need to. And I guarantee that you'll like this game. I loved it, and I didn't even know anything about it. So that made it all the more better for me. It was like finding something I didn't even know existed and loving it and wondering why I never took the time to go learn about this game. But that's gonna wrap it up for this one, and I hope you guys loved it. If not, then love it any damn way. No, but go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit the bell so that you know when we post new content. And with that, I'm out.